Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In today's video, I am happy to say that this is part 2 of our Dragonflight series. We are still keeping the topic pretty broad. We're not going to go into certain profession specifics today. However, we are focusing on specializations and knowledge points. So whether you are not exactly sure how the specializations work, how are they unlocked, what do they do, all of that will be answered in today's video, as well as how to obtain knowledge points and what exactly knowledge points do. So, of course, if you guys know about one or the other, feel free to use these timestamps down below to, skip to whatever part you want to listen to. This video will likely be a little bit long, and I don't want to keep you for the whole time, especially if you already know some of the information. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy, and let me know if you guys have any additional questions or concerns. But everybody, I hope you enjoy, and here we go. And before we get started, there is one more disclaimer that I just have to mention. And please keep in mind that this video is recorded and, published during beta access. So I will try my best to not give you specific numbers, or if I do, please take them with a grain of salt. As I will constantly mention throughout this video, things are constantly changing. Some things that might have been dailies are now bi-weekly or now just full-on weekly, and some things have been added to the game, yet have been removed. So we don't know if they're going to be re-added, or Blizz just said, you know what, no thanks. So there's a lot of things still up in the air. However, all of the overview stuff should still be correct by the time Dragonflight launches, so of course, just please keep in mind if I talk about numbers, take it with a grain of salt. But that's all, and here we actually go. And alright, to get started, let's first focus on exactly what specializations are. Now, I think the easiest sort of way to describe specializations is just talent trees, but for professions. So think about it, as you pick up a class and you level your character, you have your spec talent tree. You get more points as you level up your character, if you hit level 15, hit level 20, 30, you get more points to put into your spec tree. And then eventually, once you hit max level, you have all of the potential spec tree bonuses, and of course, you are the most powerful. Think about this same way, but with professions. So, as you level up your profession, as you gain more knowledge points, which is just through progression, then you will unlock the different trees and different skill levels, and you will become a better crafter. So, at a max level character, you may be the strongest, do most damage, while a fully leveled up crafter may have the cheapest crafting cost, the most valuable items, etc. Now, with that being said, before we talk about exactly what these trees are, let's talk about how to unlock them. And this is very important that you understand the first part of this video series, which covered difficulty and skill level. If you guys haven't seen that video, I highly recommend go watch it and then come back to this one, but as long as you kind of understand the overlying basics of crafting, you're good to go. With that being said, your actual skill, I call it base skill level, is what dictates your access to specializations. So right here, we are currently sitting at 1 out of 100 enchanting, so we currently have no access to specializations. In order to unlock our first tree, we have to hit level 25. So your first step into actually being able to specialize is to hit level 25 with your profession. Now you will probably see by my UI, like hold on Penguin, you already have access to specializations, but that is because I have accessed them previously, which I'll mention in just a second. However, if we go over to skinning, which I have not leveled before, specializations are not available, and it tells me I have to reach skill 25 to unlock. But once you hit 25, if we use our trusty dandy brain to give us our skill level, we will max out, and as you can see, it says, hey, you've unlocked a new specialization, and now we have access to this tab. And these are the different spec trees. Now, depending on the profession you're looking at, you're either going to have 3 tabs or you're going to have 4. For example, engineering is one of the ones that have 4, leatherworking as well, while, skinning here only has 3, as well as enchanting only has 3. But at the first level, at level 25 of your profession, you will be able to pick one specific tree. Then at level 50, which keep in mind we've maxed out to 100, but at level 50 out of 100, you will then unlock your second tree. So this does not matter, your first one can be harvesting and your second one could be tanning, while another skinner goes tanning first and then harvesting second. Or somebody else goes bait crafter first and then they do tanning second. It doesn't matter the order, it's just in order to unlock everything, you have to continue upping your skill. Then if you have 4 trees, so if you are an engineer in this case, you unlock your third tree at level 75. And then lastly, you have access to your final tree, whether this is your third tree if you only have 3 options, or your fourth tree if you have 4 options, and that is unlocked at level 100. So when talking about skill level, talking about the base skill level of leveling up your profession, it is super important, of course, to help meet your difficulty level when crafting, but it's also very important to unlock your specializations. With that being said, let's talk about actually adding things to the specialization tree. So the currency of this tree is knowledge points. Now you will have a different source of knowledge points for each profession. So right here, as you can see, my enchanter has 74 enchanting knowledge points. But if we take a look at skinning, I have 0. So this is not a shared pool. They are separate and you will earn them separately from one another. Now with that being said, I am going to quickly cheat my way into some skinning knowledge points. I wish we could all do this, but there we go, I've given myself 50. So let's say I wanted my first tree to be harvesting. I click unlock, it just makes sure it says like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? And I say yes. And there we go, we've unlocked the first tree. Then all you have to do is apply your knowledge points, and 1 knowledge point is basically 1 progression. So what you will notice here is normally every single progression goes in stages of 5. So right here we have our overall harvesting tree, which just says improves your efficiency, and you gain some deftness when skinning. However, as you can see, you have 0 out of 40 ranks, and each kind of up in rank every 5 points, you will gain additional bonuses. So right here, we have, increased our damage with Beast by simply learning this spec, but if we continue to put in points, once we put in 5, we will gain this right here, which is plus 5 deftness. Then we continue, if we put in 10 more, we get to learn a sub-spec. So then we can choose, hey, I actually want to, focus into meat, which I can learn the tree, and there we go. So now I can put in points. Let's say I put in 5 points here. I will now gain plus 10 finesse while skinning, and etc. This is how this tree system works. Now the huge thing to note, once I hit apply changes, this is a permanent change. So everything you do right there, that is permanent. There is no way to change this once you hit save. So normally, you guys are probably familiar, if you drop a profession, you lose all the progression, which is very true, but you will not unlearn your specialization progress. So right here, if we just drop skinning, and we pick skinning back up, as you can see, we have dropped back down to 1 out of 100. If we had any special things unlocked, that is now reset as well, because we have completely erased our progress by relearning. However, we still have our specializations. So keep that in mind, whatever changes you do, that is permanent. There is no way to get rid of it. Now, I know one of the biggest questions is, alright Penguin, what is the best path to pick? And this is not what this video is going to talk about. So in the future, as we get closer to launch, I will make specific pathing videos. So like, hey, if you're an enchanter, this is your best kind of path. But in today's video, we're keeping it pretty basic. I know there's a lot of people who want that information, but I fear that it's just way too early to kind of give you those suggestions. But with that being said, let's take back to a look at enchanting. And this is exactly what I meant from before, right? My enchanting right here is very, very basic. Of course, I upped that skill level, but before I was at 1. However, I still have my progression progress in my specializations. Now, in terms of what these specializations actually do, there's kind of 3 main topics, which we've already kind of shown whenever I was demonstrating skinning. Now, what I mean by these specific bonuses and unlocks is each of these little progression points. So as you guys can see, we have like +5 skill, +5 inspiration, learning a subspec, etc. And there's kind of 3 main categories. The first one is actually unlocking recipes. So for example, if you are an enchanter and you go this way and you wanted to learn specific weapon enchants, then you would have to put points into your main spec, unlock the subspec, and then finally go to one of these branching. And this says you can learn to craft a specific item. So one of the main different things you can unlock is literal physical recipes. The second thing, which you guys have already seen, is bonuses to crafting stats and skills. So for example, if we can continue, if you put 5 more points into here, then you will gain +5 skill when crafting these specific enchants. Now this can be a overall +5 skill, which we have kind of seen right here. Keep in mind this is +5 inspiration, so this is a crafting stat bonus. However, this is for all and any enchants. So it can be very specific with a specific type of item, or it could just be, crafting enchanting things. Then lastly, you have your ability to use optional reagents. So for example, if we go into one of these paths and we continue to kind of max it all out, as you can see, our first one is unlocking a recipe. We're getting additional bonuses of stats and skills, continuation, until we get to the end. And yes, we are getting yet again another buff to our crafting stats, which is a speed buff. However, we're also unlocking the ability to use finishing reagents, which is a specific optional reagent. So this is very important, especially if you are somebody who is going to be crafting, let's say, mythic quality gear and weapons. It could be very beneficial to unlock this ability to use these finishing reagents, as the finishing reagents themselves will help you improve your quality. So that's kind of the 3 main categories of what comes from this specialization tree. So on a technical level, these specialization trees are never required, unless of course you're seeking out a specific recipe, but they're only going to benefit you, they're never going to harm you. With that being said, let's transition into actual knowledge points, where I know this is kind of where the most questions are, and rightfully so. So, like I mentioned before, specialization points are profession specific. So if you are a skinner and a leatherworker, or a blacksmith or a tailorer, whatever the case is, your blacksmithing points will be separate from your tailoring points. So you don't have to worry about allocating a certain amount of points per profession. But with that being said, we have multiple different sources of knowledge points. And yet again, this is just a friendly reminder that a lot of these are potential to change. Up first, we have our one-time rewards. So these are things that you can only obtain once per character. And the main one here is first-time crafts. So if you have a crafting profession, we will just be utilizing enchanting as always as our demonstration, but every single time you craft a recipe for its first time, you are going to gain your first time bonus. Your first time bonus consists of 1 knowledge point, as well as 5 artisan metals, which is a BOP crafting reagent. Now, the awesome thing about this is Blizzard has put in a handy filter system, so I can go right here, first craft bonus, and it will only showcase the items that are going to grant me that first time bonus. So right here, if we were to craft this item, it is now going to disappear, and I get this alert of first time craft, which I have gained, 1 knowledge and then 5 artisan medals. So at the start, especially as you level up professions, as you gain new recipes, this is going to be a big point in gaining professions. Just to throw a number out there, yet again, take it with a grain of salt. If you level your enchanting from 1 to 50, so not even hitting 100, just from 1 to 50, you will gain about 25 knowledge points due to the various items you'll be able to craft. Then under this one-time reward category, we have one-time treasures and one-time quest. Now there is not a full-on list of the one-time treasures yet, but I highly recommend getting yourself some sort of treasure add-on. Handy notes will probably be the go-to to most people, but these treasures are rewarding anywhere between 1 to 3 points each. Then also, yet again, we don't have a ton of information about the one-time quest, but you'll likely get these as you are leveling up your character, as you do side quests, and yet again, these will reward 1 to 3 points each. Moving on, we have a pretty main category, probably the biggest one on this list, and these are actual profession quests. Now, these profession quests in Dragonflight are very, very similar to the profession world quest that were in Legion. I know that's a few, expansions ago, but if you did stuff in Legion, you would get those profession quests, which requires you to craft, 5 auto hammers or 2 banners, whatever it is, and turn it in for a reward. That is how these profession quests work. So maybe it's somebody telling you to craft 3 bags, 5 bags, 3 certain types of enchants, things like that. They're very, very simple to complete. It just costs you a little bit of gold to actually craft those items. With that being said, you unlock one of these quests once you level up your skill to level 25. Keep in mind this is your base skill, so basically once you unlock your specialization trees, you will unlock the ability to access this quest. Then you will get an additional quest at level 50. So yet again, it's very important to continue to progress your profession. Now this is where the unknown comes in. Currently on the beta, they were bi-weekly quests, meaning that they would refresh, twice a week. However, nowadays it seems like they have potentially changed to just weekly. And of course, by the time this video comes out, there will be a brand new beta build, so who knows, it might change yet again. But this will either be a bi-weekly or weekly quest. Either way, each quest is granting 3 knowledge points, so depending on how frequent you can do it, that adds up pretty quick. Also, just throwing a question mark in there as well, Wowhead released a photo of profession minigames being available. I will throw up a screenshot of one of the tailoring ones, and these did grant knowledge points as well. However, in the most recent beta build, they have disappeared. So they're either, being worked on and Blizz took them away, or maybe they just said, hey, never mind, we aren't going to do these. I'm not exactly sure, but that would fall under this category as well if they come back available. Now, moving on, we have reputation, which, is totally everybody's favorite. That totally isn't sarcasm, but we do have some reputation factors. And this comes from the Artisans Consortium, which is a side faction that we're getting in Dragonflight that really pertains to professions, so it does make sense. Now, the thing about this is the Quartermaster, which is available in Valdrakken, which is the main city. The Quartermaster sells an item that grants you 15 knowledge points. And alright everybody, this is Future Penguin stopping by. It wouldn't be a Penguin video without 2 of us, and I have to say that this has already changed. So I just mentioned that this item, which I will probably be showing on screen right now, has a plus 15 points, but actually it has just been changed to plus 10. So at the time of actually editing this video, it is hotfixed and it is only rewarding plus 10. I do like how I explain the part of the video, which is why I'm not fully re-recording it, but I do apologize that I will be stating plus 15, and it is actually plus 10. The Wowhead tooltips that you see on screen will be correct. Also, one more disclaimer, I do mention that you should be able to get the first one for free. That will make sense in just a second, but actually the first item does in fact require preferred reputation. So not only are they all requiring reputation now, they are also only giving plus 10. So just wanted to throw that out there. Yet again, the tooltips will be correct, but I apologize in advance. However, there is a catch. Every time you buy this item, it gets harder and more expensive to buy again. So the first time you buy it, it's only going to cost you 100 artisan medals. Those are the same BOP reagents that you get from those first time craft bonuses. And so the first time will cost you 100 medals, no reputation requirement, and you will gain 15 knowledge points. However, if you want to do it again, it's going to cost you 200 artisan medals, and it's going to require valued with the faction. Now, valued is kind of a Venari sort of system, but basically it is the revered equivalent of a normal faction. So you would have to get a ton of reputation, go up to valued, and then you'll be able to purchase this yet again for 15 more. Then lastly, the third time you can purchase it, yet again, it's going to get more expensive. It is now going to cost you 300 medals, and you have to be exalted, or esteemed is what it's called, but it's the exalted equivalent. So by the time you do reach that number, you will gain a total of 45 knowledge points, but of course, it really depends on how fast you gain reputation. There's not really any main reputation guides out, so I can't give you an estimated time, but ultimately it's going to come down to how much you can play a day, how much you can focus on that tune per day, etc. Keep in mind, reputation is not account-wide, so you will have to do this on every single character. Then we have two more kind of quick subcategories, and one of them is Draconic Treaties. Now this is actually a crafted item from scribes, or people with inscription, so this is actually from another crafter, so thank you crafters. But the scribes have the ability to craft these Draconic Treaties. There is one treaty for each profession, and you can use one per week. So these are BOP, meaning if you can't craft one yourself, you're going to have to get them from the work order system, but you can purchase one per week, and it's going to grant you 1 knowledge point. Then lastly, we have a brand new system called Dragon Shards. Now the full name is Dragon Shards of Knowledge, and this is actually kind of a mini questline. I will make sure to put some photos and everything on screen, but inside of one of the main zones, there is kind of a mini questline within a cave. You go and find this character who is a master artisan, so it makes sense, and after completing this mini questline, you will have the ability to turn in these dragon shards. Now dragon shards, you will be able to gather them in different ways. It's not 100% on how to get them, so I'm not going to go super in-depth with that, but you have the ability to turn in 1 to 3 of them every single week, and each time you turn one in, you're going to gain 25 artisan medals and 1 to 3 knowledge points. Like I said before, right now you can currently turn in 3 of these per week. However, that could possibly change. But with that current mindset, you could get about 75 medals per week, and you're going to get anywhere between 3 to 9 knowledge points. And there we go. That is basically it. So I know that's a ton of information. I know you will likely want to write that down, but these are the different ways to gain knowledge. So to give a quick recap, you're going to have either weekly or bi-weekly profession quests that are very similar to Profession World Quest, and they're going to take a few minutes to complete, and you'll gain a handful of points. You of course have your one-time rewards, which are treasures and some handful of quests, and also your first-time craft bonus, which you'll get definitely at the start of this expansion. Then you have the ability to buy some knowledge points from the Artisan Consortium's Quartermaster. However, it will require reputation, and it could require a lot of reputation depending on which stage you're at. And then lastly, you can get a profession point from Draconic Treaties, which are from scribes. And then lastly, you do have those dragon shards. Ultimately, you're going to be getting a pretty good amount of knowledge each week, and especially at the start. Everything combined with the fact that you're going to be able to quickly gain plus 15 with reputation, you're going to be able to start your weeklies, and you're going to get those first time rewards. You will likely have a ton of knowledge at the start, a ton as in a pretty good amount. It's not going to be anything crazy. And then of course, as time goes on, you'll get a steady amount as well. But yeah guys, that is basically it for this video. Now I know I did not cover gathering things specifically, and that is because a gathering video will be coming out more focusing on those specific topics. So I have not really covered gathering as a whole, whether that's the different skills and how to gain knowledge points for them. So hold tight with that, I'm going to have a separate video on that, but I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you guys have any questions or you find any more sources of knowledge points, and I will make sure to update a pinned comment in the comments down below, just in case you're coming across this video a few months in advance. But everybody, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good day.